Start her up.
We're on, brother.
Start her up.
We are on.
So we're on. Microphone's
Got your water?
on. Got my water. You got your coffee?
I do.
Okay.
Why is this pillow so hot?
It's a hot pillow.
It's a
hot mic,
pillow.
a hot pillow.
Who's been sitting in my chair? Wow.
All right, we'll count down still. Anyway, okay?
Yeah, of course.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, friends. Welcome to The Jersey Alchemist. I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Gallucci.
And I'm Philip D'Angelo. How you doing, Johnny?
Good. What's today? Friday.
Friday. Everybody's a little pepped up, a little more energy on a sunny Friday.
Sunny Friday.
Where it's not below 32 degrees.
Yeah, right.
It's warm.
It's warm. That's why.
Not toasty.
That's why PSE&G came today finally to fix my furnace. Yay. But they did. And it took him like 10 minutes. And so that's a blessing. Thank God for PSE&G.
We have a couple new additions to the table. John, if you want to introduce, explain what we have here today.
Okay. So this is a facsimile thereof, a tabletop statue of Saint Michael, or Archangel Michael the Warrior. And he's got his sword in his right hand. Of course, he's got his wings. And so, Saint Michael, right here. And what's this? This looks like the head of Satan, maybe the head of Baphomet. And I don't care if that offends anyone. So, he's just a new addition here. He was a gift from Phil. Thank you, brother.
Oh.
And so if you're wondering who this is, it's Archangel Michael, Michael the Warrior, the slayer of evil. And so I'll just say a little bit about Saint Michael, the same entity. The archangels are apparently not single entities. Apparently they're collectives. So if that's true, the archangels are a singular representation of a greater collective of entities or souls. And Archangel Michael is one of our favorites. And we have to be true to the title of the podcast, the Jersey Alchemist. Of course, we could be from anywhere, but we are from Jersey, and we're here filming in Jersey. But to alchemize, to repeat, just because, we have Archangel Michael helping us, an alchemist metaphorically changes lead to gold. It's not that lead is worthless, but compared to gold, lead is worthless. Lead is also poisonous. So we're taking the darkness and changing it to the light, right? We're shedding light onto the darkness, and to repeat a quote from St. Francis of Assisi, all the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light from a single candle. So you're going to hear us chit-chat. It's Friday. PSE&G fixed my furnace, thank God. And that's going to lead organically, naturally into a conversation where it's our job. That's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to dig up the shite, is to expose the crap, expose the evil that's been plaguing humanity for thousands of years. I brought him in here today because Archangel Michael is going to serve as a reminder before we wind down the episode and sign off, that we have to imbue some positivity into just exposing all of the crap. And that part of it may sound a little redundant, about bringing in the light, about praying, which is a conversation with God, about meditating, which is elevating your frequency to go and see God, or go and see the deities that you know and love, because they still exist. If that sounds redundant, that's okay, because guess what? Life is redundant. The sun comes up, right? The sun goes down, the moon comes up. We go to sleep, we wake up, we go to work, we have to eat, we live, we die. The human experience is an experience of redundancy. So please understand that when we alchemize some of these ugly topics, it's going to sound redundant. And it has to, because, I almost said all roads lead to Rome. I don't want to go to Rome. because I know it's in Rome. The Vatican's in Rome, and I don't want to go to the Vatican. We're in Jersey. We're the Jersey alchemists. So let's just take it from there. What do you think you want to chat about today? Oh, sorry.
Wait, there's one
sorry.
more.
I just was going to hand it off to you, but
No, not
all right,
yet.
so-
It's not time.
okay, peeps. Does anybody know what this is? Right? You can leave your comments below after you click the like and subscribe. This is one of the nicest chunks of malachite I've ever seen. And I stumbled across this at a store at the mall in Bridgewater, New Jersey. And I think it was like $75. But if you find a chunk like this, in a metaphysical store, you know, a specialty shop somewhere not in a mall, they're going to soak you. This is going to be a couple of $100, even more easily. What's the significance of malachite? Malachite apparently will suck the bad energy out of you, out of your energy field. So if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling blue, if you're feeling angry because life is just getting to you, you know what? Pick up your malachite, and you know what? Put it on your heart, which is the heart chakra, which has the green color. And you can see it on the banner in the back wall again. And what's just to the side of the banner?
Another new item.
Another new item, although I've had it on my meditation table in my home, in my bedroom for years. That was a gift from my friend Sandra, who you've seen on a previous episode. And that is a handmade crystal frequency progenitor from Brazil. Brazil's very big on, I mean, they're just naturally, Brazil is naturally blessed with an abundance of amazing charged crystals. They have caves where, the most incredible crystal specimens come from. And pretty much everybody on the planet that's into crystals understands that Brazil, at least as far as I'm concerned, is number one. So that is a copper base with a green light that shines through that beautiful quartz crystal. And if you were to turn all the lights off in the room, which we can't do, that thing just glows the most amazing green. And it energizes things in general, but it really energizes the heart chakra, because that's what the base and the light source is designed to do. There are other items like that, and I don't happen to have one, that shine different colors, you know, that correlate with the other chakras in the system. So malachite green will take the bad energy out of you. It just happens to be green. Of course, we know our cardinal spirit guide is ever present, Archangel Michael. I think we're ready to go, brother.
This is a full house.
It's a full house.
And I'm liking it. There's a lot of energy in here today. I can
Dynamite.
feel it.
Yep.
Absolutely. How's things going? Everything's okay?
Yeah.
What do you mean? That didn't sound too
well,
convincing.
April, I was going to say April 15th. We all know what that is.
Ouch.
Unless you're too young to have had a job. But I think the tax deadline, the tax deadline this year, I think, is April 17th or 18th. No, the 17th is Easter. So it must be, I think April 18th might be Monday. Wow. Something like that, you know? So it's a little bit scary, because I guess I got caught up in playing with cryptocurrency. And when you invest in cryptocurrency, which I think is a good thing, I wouldn't do it blindly, but I just came to learn that even if you convert, so let's say you have, I don't know, a handful of Ethereum, or if you're blessed enough to have a handful of Bitcoin, and someone says to you, hey, you need to buy Shiba Inu, you know, because that's going to explode, or XRP is going to be the crypto via its parent company Ripple, and that's going to be the segue from fiat dollars that are all going defunct into the digital financial reset, if that's true. And the articles are out there, and there's an SEC lawsuit going on right now because God knows the SEC is trying to hold cryptocurrency down because the SEC is clearly on the side of the Federal Reserve. Ooh, that's another nasty, ugly topic. We could talk for weeks on that one. Anyway, I found out if you convert, let's say you want to buy some Shiba Inu, and you have a handful of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's worth, I don't know, it's in the $44,000 range per coin. And I think about 4 or 5 months ago, Bitcoin hit $69,000. That's insane. But if you're lucky enough to have a few of those and you go, you know what, I'll just take a little bite out of one of my Bitcoin and I'm going to buy 1 billion Shiba Inu, because Shiba Inu cost $0.00022. So if you took a couple of $1,000s from your Bitcoin or from whatever, or from your checking account, and you bought a load of Shiba Inu, well, what happens if Shiba Inu hits 1 penny, or if it hits 10 cents, or if it hits $1? Guess what? You're a billionaire overnight. So don't think it can't happen. But converting one crypto to another apparently incurs a tax burden. I mean, give me a break. You gotta be kidding. Can't you please keep your filthy hands out of our financial affairs? All right, enough about that.
Well, no, you bring up some good points. What do everybody's transferring money now with? How do they transfer the money, John? Like with, especially with the younger.
You mean worldwide?
No, on the internet. Oh God, I'm drawing a blank with my.
You mean
son.
Zelle, stuff like that?
No, just when you send money to somebody, your friends.
I can send money to my kids
'Cause
through email, and it's called Zelle.
Yeah, all right. So that's one of the avenues. They want to start taxing it. They want to know all those ways that you can transfer money, even on a small basis, and they want to tax it on you. They want to make sure you got to report how much money you sent, and
All right, so look, I just want to jump in with this because this is why Phil and I are so organically fab together. Look, we know each other forever, right? And it's just flowing. And not everyone can, can light the fire. Like Phil just does that for me. God bless you.
Same here, buddy.
But it's if you're one of those people that are out there saying, "Oh, but big government is needed," and God bless the IRS and God bless the Federal Reserve, because without tax dollars, where do you think such and such money is going to come from to do this or to do that, and all of these government agencies? Let me say something to you. Just pay attention. You're all getting ripped off so massively, it's disgusting. Now, could this bring heat on me? Of course. Guess what? I don't give a shit. You know why? Because being alive in the third dimension automatically brings heat on you, especially if you want to open your mouth and you want to raise your head, because then the powers that be are going to play whack-a-mole with you. You guys know what whack-a-mole is, don't you? Right? It's that game with all the holes, and you stick your money in the slot, and then the mole keeps coming up, and you have a mallet, and before you know it, you're whacking the moles. And if you're quick, you hit the mole every time, and your score goes up. But if you're not so quick, you never hit the mole. But we are the moles, and if you stick your head up because you want to be heard, and God forbid you become an influencer, they're going to play whack-a-mole with you. Screw it, okay? I'm still going to say what I have to say. And by the way, I've been like this all my life. It just that it takes it takes somebody to light the pilot light and crank that gas nozzle, and
there you go.
And not everybody can do that. Phil doesn't provoke me. He doesn't trigger me. It's a natural, organic thing. So, it all this all came out of, how you doing today? Yeah, that doesn't sound so good. Boom, off to the races.
Now, I'm going to say about taxes on April 15th. I work for a company, which shall remain nameless, and a third of my paycheck. This is why they want you to work for people and get a paycheck. A third of my paycheck goes to taxes every week. So I get a kick out of that. So for 52 weeks, a third of my paycheck comes out, and then they're going to give me, $1,100, $1,200, $2,400, and I'm supposed to do a dance? I'm supposed to do the Donadell down the street? I'd say it's not going to work that way. I mean, come on. You took all this money from me, and you give me a little bit back, and I'm supposed to say, oh, thank you. May I have another, or whatever they say. That's ridiculous.
Of course that's ridiculous.
Taxation without representation is a real thing. Who's representing?
Well, how does that finish? The real saying was taxation without representation is tyranny? I think it... Look, let's just digress for a moment, because a little disclaimer here. I'm certainly not always right, and in 2 previous episodes, I definitely made gaffes.
Somebody record this.
So,
it is being recorded.
Specifically regarding speaking about movies and TV, and we talked about the iconic film American Graffiti, and I don't know what made me say, little Opie Taylor,
Richie Cunningham.
Richard Cunningham, Ronnie. We got all his character names.
Yeah.
I said, Ronnie Howard directed that. And because I had a fight with my brother years ago over that, and my brother was older than me, and if I was wrong, if I bucked him, he'd kind of beat the snot out of me. He was 3 times my size. He did love me, though. And
in a different kind of way.
Yeah, in a different kind of way. And so it got stuck in my head that Ronnie Howard directed American Graffiti. He did not, because it was sticking in my craw after we filmed, and I looked it up, and it was George Lucas. It was the same guy who did Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I was like, Ronnie Howard starred in it. Yeah. Right, with Richard Dreyfuss.
Right? Suzanne Summers.
Yeah.
Richard
Dreyfuss. Right. And who else?
Suzanne Summers was in the T-Bird, the white T-Bird.
Yeah, very just flash in a pan spot.
Cindy Williams. Yeah.
Right. And speaking of Williams, one of the other episodes that I clearly made a gaffe. This now I'm purging the gaffes, and there'll be many gaffes, but as long as I own up to it, right?
Absolutely.
We were talking about people that had themselves frozen.
Oh yeah. Ted Williams.
And I kind of like, post-COVID brain here, I forgot about Ted Williams. And Phil said that he had himself frozen in 2 parts. And he said his head is in a tuna can.
Well, it's on top of a tuna can, not in the tuna can.
You mean it's bare?
Well, it's upside down, I think, and they put a tuna can because they couldn't keep it on thing. I don't know if that's true. That's urban legend.
No, listen. So I had to look it up last night.
You're coming at me now? I mean, you made the guess. I mean, you're coming at me now, really?
No. So I didn't. I said, well, Ted Williams, I remember, baseball player. Yeah. But I said, well, what did he die of? And then we kind of looked at each other. I said, how did he die? And then I said, was it ALS? Then after the episode, that's ALS's, God forbid, a horrible, horrible condition that two very dear friends of mine had, passed from. But that's Lou Gehrig's disease.
Wow.
And so when I looked it up, Ted Williams, and I'm thinking he died years ago. No, he died like in 2002.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And he died, all it said was the wink, wink, coroner's report, heart failure. Guess what? We all die because our hearts stop. Think about that, right? Yeah. We all die eventually because, regardless of what you're ailing from, your heart's going to stop. And I was amazed that the article said he apparently, as per his daughter, this was a family feud that's on the internet. You can read it. I'm not revealing something I'm not supposed to reveal. The daughter said, Daddy made it very, very clear he wanted to be cremated and sprinkled off the coast of Florida, because I guess he retired to Florida, and that's where his heart was. But apparently other factions of the family said, no, we're going to have his head removed.
See?
And it's going to go in a metal, let's call it a can, filled with liquid nitrogen. And the article goes on to say that I guess somehow or another it doesn't take much when something is immersed in liquid nitrogen to break it. You know, I think we've all seen those pictures of the rose dipped in liquid nitrogen, and after it comes out, if you tap it on the table, it shatters like glass. Well, apparently, his head has been fractured, they said 12 or 13 times. How that could be beats the crap out of me. And his body is in a long kind of sci-fi cylinder, another steel cylinder, of course, in liquid nitrogen again. And I'm thinking, why take his head off of his body? Why'd you do that? Now you just introduced a big friggin' problem. Okay, let's say, you know, now it's the year, I don't know, 2000 and it's the year 2200. Is that far enough into the future?
It's pretty far.
And they look back and they go, Gadzooks, Ted Williams, we could bring him back and save his life. Well, now they got to stick his head back on his body. What if they can save his life because they cured a disease, but the neurosurgeons or the orthopedic surgeons go, yeah, you may have saved what killed him, but no one has ever severed a head and successfully put it back on. Catch the magnitude of that.
If you're going to put it on somebody else's
the
body.
Spinal cord, the central nervous system, the peripheral central nervous system, the lymphatics, the blood vessels, the bones, the ligaments. If somebody knows, leave it in the comments. You can be comedic about it, or you can be on the square. Why would they take Ted Williams' head off? See where, you know, a simple question like, how you doing today? Ted Williams, tuna can.
I mean, what a way to die. I mean,
I don't think they
was
killed
he of
him by
sound
cutting
mind?
his head off.
He was dead already.
Yes, it said he died of heart failure, and they whisked him to some facility, and it seems like they had this thing planned.
I think so. But what I think I meant, what a way to lie in state. Is that a better way to put it? Like, you know,
he's standing in state. They said he's upright in this steel cigar tube of liquid nitrogen.
What genius thought of that?
I don't know.
Somebody has a question they had, like, response, but and how many more people are doing it? I don't know if anybody else that's doing it.
No idea. No clue.
I mean, listen, there's no real good way to lie in state. I mean, let's think about when we go to the afterlife. I mean, I'm not a big fan.
What?
The afterlife. No, was that wrong?
Oh, there's a topic.
Oh, yeah. But let's say, I mean, because I believe your spirit goes to heaven or hangs around the earth and stuff like that. I believe that. And I'm claustrophobic, so I have a problem with being put in a box 6 feet under. Like, I need space. I need room. So I don't know if that's where I want to go. There are a lot of people nowadays are getting cremated. You see urns and all these mausoleums.
You want to be buried in your car or something?
I don't know. If it's a big car, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't figure it out yet. You know, I mean, everybody's got a different thing. I don't know. What do you prefer? Are you going the standard 6?
I don't know. You know what? I every once in a while when my kids are receptive to that conversation, because I'm not going to get melodramatic here, but everybody in my nuclear family is they passed on. All la mort. Recently, my mom, February 6th, but my dear sister passed away in 1993. And thank you, medical profession, for murdering her. And and my dad passed in 2014. My brother passed in 2018, and he is a joker. He passed on my son's birthday, but they really liked each other. They loved each other, so it's okay. It's all good. And then my mom just passed, so I'm the last of the Mohegans. And you know, I'm not a believer in the afterlife. I'm not. Silent second here, silent moment. I'm not a believer in the afterlife. No, I know that the afterlife is there because people who are spiritually, supernaturally healed can jump in and out of the other side pretty much anytime they want. You interviewed Swami.
The lovely Sandra.
The lovely
It was
Sandra.
my honor.
Right, lovely Sandra.
Very intriguing.
And really, to be honest with you, she's the most unassuming person I've ever met in my life. I know her 13 years, and there goes the COVID brain.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, I know when it comes to the afterlife and spirits, that's what we're
Oh,
talking
she
about.
she goes in it like I was behind the camera for that episode, and I was enjoying the crap out of it, and I thought Phil did a massively great job, naturally interviewing her, and like I said, he got Swami to open up and talk about what she does.
She's very private.
Not in great detail, but she's very, very private about it. Like I said, I know her for 13 years, and most of what she does is unbelievable work that manifests in this matrix, this three-dimensional matrix. That's where it manifests, because that's where we are. But almost all of the work is carried out in other dimensions, in the spirit world. And if you don't believe that, I have some good news for you. Yeah, I do. And the good news is it's all true, friends. It's all true. And that should make you so happy. So you can get over your physical selves, and you can get over the thoughts of, oh my God, there's nothing else but this life. That's all a crock of crap. I'm not a fool. I'm quite accomplished, and you can take it from me, pediatric, neonatal, general, and thoracic surgeon, and I have learned to meld the physical, scientific third dimension with the spirit world. And I'm telling you, I feel like I'm qualified to look the camera in the eye, into the lens, and look at you all and tell you this is just a part of what we all are eternally. Not only are you eternal, but we're all connected. Now, the beginning of the episode, we talked about Archangel Michael, or Saint Michael, and how the archangels are said to be. I don't feel like I'm an expert in every intricacy of the circle of archangels and the seraphims that are the closest to the Creator inside that circle, which apparently how the scheme goes. But the archangels apparently are a collective. A collective. So there isn't just one soul that's an archangel. The archangels are collectives. So think about that. The archangels are a collective of souls that are connected through the Holy Spirit, through the Creator. And I've got news for you. They're all over the universe. And so how does it feel? How does it feel to know now on Friday, is this April 1st?
April 1st.
Well, I'm not going to say April Fools,
No.
okay? I could do that, but I'm not going to, because I'm not doing the April Fools thing. How does it feel to know that you're going to live forever? You're going to live forever, and you get to pick and choose pretty much where you jump in and out of. So I know I'm on a tangent, but this is what an organic conversation kind of feels like. And I apologized on one hand to Phil before we ever really jumped into this podcast, before the first episode, that I have a lot to say. And not all of you are going to like what I have to say. I can't give you a peer review journal article in the magazine Science or Nature, to prove what I'm saying about the spirit world. Now, where I can whomp you over the head with proof are the things that I'm personally an expert in for decades. stuff that I did professionally, stuff that I was board certified over, and I still am. But the metaphysical, supernatural, spiritual stuff, it's all about not being able to be proven with a peer-reviewed journal article. Because if everything could be boxed in by that, then it's no fun. Then there's nothing to dream about. There's nothing to hope and pray about. So bottom line, this is your lucky day. This is the first day of the rest of your life, and it should change everything that you think about, knowing that, you know, if you had a problem with your sister, or if you loved the hell out of your father and they passed on, guess what? You're stuck with them. They haven't gone anywhere. And neither have the great international earthly deities. They are all still out there, just in different dimensions. So that's how I am today.
Yeah, that's impressive, as usual,
Right.
Dr. John. So, all right, so we have the spiritual side, but laying in state, I mean, that's a big conversation nowadays. I mean, between, like I said, 6 feet under, a box, and this is a morbid conversation, but I really don't know how I want to lay in state. When I know my spirit's going to be out there and it's going to still be around wherever we're going to go, but I don't know, like, how am I going to,
Right.
what's going to be right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Okay.
know. And Ted Williams, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what made him make that decision.
He didn't.
He did.
According to the article, his daughter was adamant, and now there's apparently, you can read the article, that there's a family feud over it, and I guess it's one of those things, right? Because apparently he passed in 2002. I'm thinking Ted Williams, he must be dead since, like, you know, the 60s or 70s. No. It was semi-recent, right? Well, I guess 20 years feels
yeah.
recent to me, because
Yeah.
we're old. Oops, I almost said a bad word. Put your comments. Make your comments so that we can all have a good conversation over your comments regarding how do you see yourself in a post-demise state.
Interesting.
Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be stuffed? A friend of mine from Nutley is a great taxidermist. I don't think he's done any people, but he knows enough people from Essex County that they probably have stuffed a few people.
I
They're
swear
probably
he's-
down in the Meadowlands
I
stuff.
swear he stuffed his dog. He kept him by the fireplace. He denies that to this day, but I swear he stuffed his dog. You know?
So, right.
What about, I mean, cremation? I said to my friend one time, he pulled up in a car and I was standing outside gym, and I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm driving around with Dad." I'm like, "Dad?" And he had his father in an urn and the seatbelt. I mean, I don't know if his father, I guess, wanted to get
He
cremated.
had the urn seatbelted.
Yeah, so he goes, "I'm driving around with Pop."
That is so thoughtful, don't you think?
But, I mean, his father, I guess he wanted to be kept in the house, not in a cemetery, or he didn't want his ashes spread. He wanted to be pictured, you know? I said, if that's the case with me, I told my kids, well, then I want, like, some oil painting of me, about 60 pounds lighter, with a nice lamp, and, have the oil, have the urn under the picture, in some, like, godlike pose.
But then that conjures up thoughts of, like, the old haunted house. Oh, there's Mr. Jenkins. Yes, he was the original owner. He had this house built. They say he was a robber baron.
Yeah.
And if you walk by this picture at night, the eyes follow you.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what you want?
You
want to spook?
I don't know. I don't know if my eyes are going to follow anybody, but I don't know. Knowing my kids, I mean, they'll probably move and leave me there. And like
Right.
say, what's
or
missing?
throw darts at your picture.
Yeah, what's missing? Or the movers are going to put it somewhere on some New Jersey dump somewhere. But it's just something. The afterlife, very interesting.
Well, let me say this, okay, and let me try to just put this thought into your heads regarding what you might choose for yourself or for a loved one if they didn't leave, specific instructions. Because I got a feeling most people don't leave instructions, which is why it's another digression. before my sister died, July 21st, 93, and she was only 31. I didn't have the wherewithal to talk to her about life and death. I was perpetrating the loving lie to her right up until the day before she croaked. Oh, it's going to get worse before it gets better, Franny. Oh, the medicine, all this. Because I didn't know how to handle it. You know, it's a long time ago. I would have handled it differently now. But I think you have to. If you can find a way with your loved ones and your relatives before they pass. And this conversation's all coming out of Phil's first question. How you doing today? Okay, so now here we are talking about what we want for ourselves regarding our passing. Have that conversation. Don't wait until it's too late. You know, it's like that song, you know. Have that conversation. Tell people that you love them before it's too late, right? So instead of going down that rabbit hole about, you know, express your love before it's too late to express it, picture this. We all have dreams. And some dreams you remember keenly and acutely. Some of them are high definition productions. And other dreams you just see kind of snippets, right? And every once in a while, I'll be sitting and something will happen in my energy field, in my brain, and I'll have run across my field of vision like 5-second snippets of a whole reel of dreams that go all the way back 40 or 50 years. And I'll be like, and I'll be thinking, it's happening again. And it's crazy to me. It's crazy because the dreams that I dreamt 50 years ago, 60 years ago, all of a sudden, it's like somebody just stuck the hard drive in, or they got a big book, you know, a picture book, and they kind of thumbed it and flipped all of the pages, like boom. All of those dreams and all of those visions and all of those experiences are still in your, the metaphysicists would call them your Akashic records. The Akashic records are a record, cosmically, supernaturally, of every happenstance and every item and every word spoke in the universe. It's all there. It doesn't go away, okay? So have that conversation with them. But back to the dream. All I can tell you is how a dream works for me. I go to sleep, and if I can find myself falling asleep expediently, I'm usually caught in a thought process. And that thought process sometimes finds an exit to the dimension that I'm in. And that thought process finds the open window. It finds the door. Sometimes it finds the drainage hole, right? The drainage pipe. And that thought carries me. And then there's a dividing line where that thought expands and grows, and all of a sudden, you're seamlessly in another world. You're in a dream. You're in a different dimension, I promise you. And so, what do you think it would be like if you were to just, you're falling asleep, you're tired, everything feels great, you're having this thought, and now the thought finds the exit. It finds the open window. And you go with that thought. And so your soul, your consciousness, slips out of your energy field that's surrounding your body, and you're in a different scene. And it's so real. And there's your mom and your dad that have passed. There's grandma. There's the dog. Oh my God. There's Chips. There's this one. There's that one. So what if somebody in that dream that's so real, what if your dad says to you, hey, we've been waiting for you. Come on, let's get in the car. We're all going to dinner. And you're like, really? Am I dressed? Yeah, let's go. You wait till you see this restaurant. Dum, dum, dum. We all get in the car door's shut. Off we are, having a great time, tooling down the highway. He pulls up to this restaurant. He knows the maitre d'. You know the maitre d'. You had no idea. And the whole place is filled with people, and they're all there for you. I have been to many of those dreams. And so what if, after a fabulous dinner and a night full of just laughing and talking and love and peace and togetherness and happiness, they go, are you ready? We can't wait to show you your place. And you go, what? Yeah, your place. Come on, I got the keys. And they take you. I'm going to start crying because this is how it works. And they take you to the most gorgeous dwelling that was made specifically for you and your heart, not for anybody else. It's not Dad's dream house because he's already there. He's in his dream house. My sister lives in the most amazing beach house with sweeping vaulted ceilings and windows that go all the way up that are right on the ocean and the dunes. I can say this in my book because it's in the chapter about my sister Franny. You know, sand dunes are on a beach and they plant life. They plant bushes and flowers and whatnot to keep the sand together. And the sand dunes are there to protect what's on the inland side of the sand dune from the rage of the ocean when the ocean, gets scary, right? Because we're planet Earth. But my sister's beach house was on the water side of the sand dunes. And when I climbed the sand dune and saw this beyond breathtaking redwood and cedar, I can't even say they were redwood and cedar. It was building materials I'd never seen before in this third dimension. And I floated down off the top of the sand dune, and she was there waiting for me. And she was wearing like navy blue gym shorts, little summer sneakers without socks, and a white blouse. She was suntanned, like sunburned, radiant. She had a new short haircut. And I said, Franny, what are you doing here? You look great. What are you doing here? And she wagged her finger at me, and she looked like this. That's Franny always did. And she says, no. She goes, what are you doing here? And then, coming up from my left was the guy that was one of my best friends in grammar school. I'm going to say it because he's already listed in the book. His name was Teddy. And so Teddy passed away about 3 or 4 months before my sister did back in '93. So we're family, people, whether you're biologically family members or not. And I was so thrilled to see him. And of course, his family knows all about that because I told them all about it and they read the book. But that's what a dream can be. And that's what passing very often is like. And I have many accounts from people that have passed, from people who have passed that then have come back into their bodies and lived. And I have accounts from very, very dear close friends that have passed in some of the most terrible, violent ways that in a bazillion years could not come back because their bodies were not capable of housing them. And through mediumship, they told their story. And so I went on this long-winded story about going to sleep and having a dream and having a thought that leads to a dream, which was really an escape from where you are into another dimension. We'll call it a dream. What if you just stay there? That's what passing is. You have this beautiful dream and you just stay there. Because dreams are so vivid and so crisp and so electric and so real and so wonderful that you can consider your moment where you're just going to stay there And then at that point, what if somebody that you're with, while they're showing you around the most gorgeous dwelling you've ever could have imagined in your life, and you see, you did imagine it, because remember, your imagination is really a manifestation of your God-given creativity. So it's everything you want it to be. And right in the middle of looking at the most drop-dead gorgeous stone fireplace that goes all the way up 25 feet to the top of the ceiling, and somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, do you want to go? What were you doing before you got in the car? What were you doing? You're very liable to say, I don't know. I think I had a dream. I think I had a dream, and I was in a place that just was so disturbing, so bothersome, or I dreamt that I was sick for years. Oh my God, I'm home. What a dream that was. You get what I'm saying? So if this is how it is, why are you fretting over what to do with your corpus lamortis? Why are you fretting over this? John Gerard Gallucci doesn't really care what happens to this vessel. We are, again, a fractal of the Creator, the Holy Spirit, that's having this physical, temporary experience. And this is the temple. So when Jesus says, I'll tear this temple down and build it up again in 3 days, he wasn't talking about the temple in Jerusalem. He was talking about his body. But the Pharisees thought he was daft, because they said it took 40 years to build, and this guy's going to build it back up in 3 days. He's nuts. He didn't understand. He didn't understand what Jesus was talking about. So that question, it's a long-winded, but I think beautiful explanation of maybe how you want to think about what you want to tell your loved ones should you pass before them. Maybe it's, don't worry so much about it. I'll be okay. Unless you really feel strongly that you want to be like Ted Williams, wanted to be cremated and sprinkled in the ocean in Florida by his house. Then do that. Other people want to be put on top of their spouses in the same plot, in a casket. Ultimately, in the great scheme of the universe, in the great scheme of eternity, it just don't matter.
Wow, it's amazing.
That was a long rant. I'm sorry,
Well,
Phil.
no, that was beautiful. What a great explanation. With dreams, you must sleep pretty well, because I don't sleep, like my dreams, if I have any, they don't last long and they're not very vivid. Is that because, do you think your spirituality has something to do with the level of your dreams, that mental comprehension that you have, and spiritual as well? Because I don't have vivid dreams.
I'll do my best with that question. That's a fun question. All your questions are fun. Even how are you today? Look where we went from that simple, fun question. I think, look, everybody's different. Nobody's better than the other person. But thinking back, and I think I mentioned this on previous episodes, that I've had vivid dreams of being me in my flesh all the way back to when I was 6 months of age. I write about it in my book. And I think that, just about everything that happens in my life, it's kind of it's a mishmash. It's like a split. I have a right brain, left brain type thing. And I see things spiritually all the time, and I have as a very small child. And as you get older, your three-dimensional physical experiences start to superimpose over your spiritual acumen. And so all of a sudden, you know, case in point, small children are much more likely to recall a previous life. Yes, we have previous lives, and sometimes we have parallel lives. Honestly, I think that right now, I am living a parallel life. Where? In the beautiful city of Montreal, PQ, Quebec. And there's a whole chapter in my book about Montreal, the city of my heart. I used to dream of it. I ended up training in Montreal, and I've been back from my fellowship since like 97 or 98, and I'm in Montreal, I don't know, at least knowingly in Montreal, at least several times a week. It bleeds through. It bleeds through. And I'm still a surgeon in Montreal, and I still go to McGill and to the Montreal General and the Children's Hospital, although the original building is gone. Breaks my heart, but you know, I trained in the original building. Boy, I went down that rabbit hole again, Phil. I'm really sorry.
No, don't be. So do you think that when you feel like Montreal is bleeding through?
It is.
I mean, is it you, or is your spirit with somebody, guiding somebody, maybe another doctor? Could that be it?
Well, I think the question was, do you dream and have vivid dreams and
Sure.
remember because you're spiritual?
Correct.
Or do you have those dreams, or because you're spiritual, you have those dreams?
Yeah.
I think that was the gist of it, and I got lost in the topic, which I do all the time, and I can't change that. So again, I'll apologize if everybody is sitting there watching this and they go, "There he goes. He's jumping overboard. Grab him, Phil."
Hey, it's what we do.
Right.
It's what we do.
Right.
That's it.
So your question again was?
Well, I've asked several.
I
They
know,
didn't
I'm
answer.
so sorry.
The last one was in Montreal. You say your spirit bleeds through. Do you think it's like you, or is your spirit working with another doctor up there? I mean, because your heart and soul in training was in that pediatric
Oh boy, big time.
element,
Yeah.
and you dreamt. And according to your book, you dreamt about that place.
Yeah.
So when you went there, you were already familiar with the streets, the
I
alleys,
was.
the hospitals.
I was.
Okay.
Right.
So there's either a parallel life, a previous life,
Right.
but there's a part of you, it sounds like, that's still up
Yeah.
there to this day.
Oh, I don't have any doubt that I'm more inclined to believe that I am a physician. I'm a surgeon in Montreal, but it's in a parallel dimension. And if you think that the concept of parallel dimensions is daft and a knee slapper, and you're going to scoff and ridicule, and now you're going to turn into a troll, go ahead. Do your worst. You know what? Ultimately, the joke is going to be on you. Okay? So, do your worst. Scoff, ridicule, laugh. Leave your little trolly comments in the comments. But I could be somebody else that's up there right now contemporarily. So if I got in my car and I drove 420 miles north, I could track them down and find them. I'm not sure that's it. I think that I'm there and I'm in another dimension. And there's a whole nother Montreal and a whole nother dimension. That means there's a California. That means there's an Iraq. That means there's a South America and a North Pole and a South Pole in another dimension. And get your head around the concept that there are many parallel dimensions. Many.
I mean, if you're saying your spirit is up there, I mean, just think when you were operating in New Jersey, pediatric surgery, and you always felt that guidance was coming to you.
Right.
You may be providing that same guidance to somebody in Montreal.
Right. So case in point, there's a saint that I'm connected to a lot of saints. And I've met a bunch of saints face to face. No, not in statue form in some church, but in meditation. Wide awake. By the way, when you meditate, you're wide awake. You're not asleep. One of them, is Padre Pio. And Padre Pio was known as a mystic. And if you kind of peel the layers of the onion about what does it mean to be a mystic when you had become a saint, it really means that they were psychics and mediums. So Padre Pio was well known to be a medium, and he could multi-locate. So Padre Pio could be talking to a person here, but he's also experiencing something else somewhere else. He was beyond what it means to be a remote viewer. Lots of people can remote view. They just don't understand what they're seeing, what they're experiencing. So knowing that certain people can remote view, certain people can bilocate or multi-locate, which is the truth, because remember, we're energy, right? What we are is not just this. I can't duplicate this fleshy vessel. I don't know that that can be done in any particular dimension, but the soul, I mean, let's use the radio again. If the radio's on in your car and they're playing 106.7 out of New York, and there's 25,000 cars on the road, and you're tuned to 106.7, does that mean that nobody else can be? Ridiculous. There you go. Energy is energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. And so if you exist and you're energy, you can be in a multitude of places at the same time. And remember, time is relative, because only in this third dimension do we live in a time-space continuum. So back to Padre Pio, and some of these more sensational saints, they intervene all the time. I've been told by masters that Padre Pio was a walk-in soul for me. Have I met him face to face? Yes. I've met St. Francis of Assisi. I've met St. Jude and a couple others. And of course, I think I mentioned that, yes, it is true that St. Jude and Jesus Christ descended to me on my healing mountain. And it's amazing. So one night I kind of wake up into this, I'm asleep, and I wake up into a scene. And I had no idea where I was, but I was somewhere rural, and I was walking on kind of like fields of gold, tall golden wheat. And as I was walking, it was, collapsing and kind of pushing down, and I was trampling the wheat. But I was kind of in a back area. I wasn't in a farmer's field. It's just where it was. And there were train tracks. And then on the other side of the train tracks was some more of those wheat. And I was walking like I was expecting to find something. I had a purpose. I wasn't just, aimlessly, out there. And I came upon a house, but the house was more of a hovel. It had a low roof, like a bungalow. It had a low roof, and it had a very small back patio. There was a screen door, and the wooden door was open, so somebody was home. And there was a stovepipe coming out of this low roof with old, tar-based roofing shingles. And there was a little bit of smoke coming out of the roof. So somebody was clearly in that house. But I didn't see signs of life from anybody. I didn't hear anything. I couldn't hear any voices. And nor did anybody come to the door. But when I got to that place, I crossed the train tracks, and I walked in between the tracks and that piece of property, which was very tiny. And it reminded me of, you know, some kind of farmer somewhere. And, you know, tiny little house. It was probably 1 or 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a small living room. That tiny. And I stood there watching and listening and holding the entire scene in my heart. And I felt like I was there to almost to be like a guardian to whoever was in that place. And then the dream ended, and I was back in my bedroom, awake. And so I told Swami about it, Sandra, my friend. Sandra's, for those who hadn't seen the previous episode, Sandra is just an unbelievable psychic. And if you don't believe psychics exist, if you're the next derivation of the great James Randi, the amazing Randi, I'm sorry. I loved him. I thought he was a lot of fun to watch, but psychics exist. Sorry if you got a charlatan that is not real, but Swami's the real thing. And I explained to her where I was. I could smell the tall wheat, the fields of gold. I could smell the dirt under my feet. I could smell the smoke from the smokestack. From that, it wasn't a smoke, it was a little tiny stovepipe. And she said to me, she goes, "You know somebody in that cabin." She says, "And you were meant spiritually to look in on them, energetically, to just kind of perpetrate your guardianship for them, not at them." So I'm not sure how we got into. See, you're starting to catch on. If you've watched us a few times,
Yeah, wow.
I actually am there when I'm reliving the entire thing.
That's amazing.
But
you said that was a dream that you had.
That was a dream.
And then the dream ended.
And then the dream ended, and I was back in my bedroom. And
Telling
then,
Sandra.
And then, well, it was the next day that I told her
Wow.
about it.
But to be so vivid, John, and to
I think we were talking maybe about dimensions and
Yeah.
stuff. I apparently knew whoever it was that was living in that little shack. That's really what it was a hovel, a shack.
Wow.
That's all it was. And so getting back to bilocating or multi-locating and Padre Pio and the saints and mystics, I don't think that we've discussed what's in the chapter in my book called Yelena.
no, not yet.
And that chapter is toward the end of the book, and it took place in a very, very metaphysical, spiritual, supernatural, gated community up in the.
We're going to go over the chapters of the book one by one down the line.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Wow. John, that was a great episode today. I think we should cut it off. I think we went.
Yeah, we just got to the doorway of a lot of good stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, because the next segment I was going to go into was going to take probably 20 minutes, and I know we got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, great job.
Yeah. So wow, all of that can come out of a simple question from Phil, like,
Hey,
"How you doing? You doing all right today? Yeah.
what's going on?
Boom, boom. We're off to the races, and we're rounding Mars.
Great discussion.
So it's all fun. It's all food meant to nourish you and to light your fire. That there's much more to who you are than just your physical vehicle that you're in. Stop watching the news. Don't watch the news. You want to play on YouTube and Rumble, fine, but network television and the news, turn it off, because it's nothing but intentional brain rot.
Get spiritual, people. Get spiritual.
And look up Archangel Michael. God
That's the
bless,
guy.
brother.
God bless, John.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Peace. Wow.
It's good.
That was great. That was.
That hour went fast, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, a little more than an hour, I think.
We could, you know what? We could easily do a 3-hour episode.
Oh, look at this.
Let me see.
What's it say?
Oh, let's see here. 1 minute and 4.